Hey all, welcome to ShareTrek. This is Raj here. Friends, my apologies for not making a video yesterday. Yesterday I was very demotivated after looking at the way the market behaved. It seemed like a rigged market. It seemed like a emerging market where rumors can move the markets, and whatever is claimed as fake news was actually a leaked information from the White House. So I was absolutely disgusted, didn't feel like looking at my portfolio or the TradingView platform, or for that matter, making a video. So I just took the time off to cool my mind. Now I'm back again, and I see that nothing much has changed. We have a crazy administration out there. You can see in the headline out here, it says Trump doesn't rule out extending 90-day tariff pause. This adds to further confusion. Now we have a dog's breakfast out here. For example, we still have tariff on Canada and Mexico. We have 10% on rest of the world, including countries which do not have any tariff for US. And that tariff of 10% is ironically called reciprocal tariffs. Reciprocal, as Trump explained, is they tax us, we tax them. Take the example of Singapore. Singapore has zero taxes or zero tariff on US, and yet US is imposing a 10% tariff on Singapore. Go figure what's happening out there. And then, having given a 90-day tariff pause, claimed victory that a lot of countries are lining up to sign deals with us, and Trump said that they are kissing his ass to get a deal. But we don't have the name of a single country, and there is no press report from any other country saying that they are in talks with President Trump and are going to get a deal. So there's a whole lot of backtracking and claiming this to be a victory. Again, we have another headline here right now which says Trump doesn't rule out extending 90-day tariff pauses. This adds further to the confusion and uncertainty. One of the things that forced Trump's hand was the basis trade. As you can see here in this chart, the blue line out here is the spot price, and the red line is the futures price, and which is the actual price that is being traded right now for futures, and the green line is the expected one. And as you can see, the days move from 30 days to 0 day. So what has happened now is that this red line ideally should have been below the blue, but it's above the blue line. So there is a short covering that is needed in order to meet the obligation, and that seems to have pushed a lot of hedge funds to get into a situation where they were looking for liquidity, and that in turn forced people downstream with other positions to unload, and as a result too many of these bonds were getting sold. And also there is another aspect that's happening. German bonds became much more desirable because their yields went down, and it seems that other countries were also in the process of selling US treasuries. And I've been warning about this for quite a while, that the way the US is breaking norms, the way the rule of law, the institutions and everything are being demolished, it's only a matter of time before the US dollar as a reserve currency and US treasury as a safe haven are going to be under pressure. So I think that thing has already happened, and that's exactly the reason why Trump had to roll back, and now he's talking about extending 90-day tariffs further. Now I feel that the market looks for certainty, and when you keep on pushing this 90-day further, you're just extending the uncertainty. It's better to come clean right now and say tariff was a bad idea, I'm dropping it once and for all, let's forget this, let's move on. That will be less harmful than this 90-day pushing back. I mean, doesn't look great. But having said that, the only thing we can do is react instead of trying to speculate in this market. That said, let's go on and look at what's happening with the inflation. So the inflation rate came month over month, came a bit lower than what was forecast. And I'm thinking that could this be an indicator that the demand is going down and the economy is cooling down. There is going to be a bit of distortion out here with regard to inflation, because this tariff talk has pushed to the front loading of a whole lot of orders from Chinese manufacturers and pushed into the country. And there are reports of people buying new cars ahead of schedule so that they can avoid the tariff. So there's going to be a huge bump when the next report comes in. That's a bit of a distortion happening out there. And also I heard a commentator on CNBC talk about how disruptive this tariff is for business, because businesses order for Christmas at this point of time. It gets manufactured, shipped, and it's ready for sale around Christmas. But right now they are not able to do that because they don't know what will be the tariff regime during Christmas and how do they price it. So they can't do the business case at all. So this unpredictability of President Trump is causing a lot of problems worldwide in the economy, and someone has to bring this under control, and that someone has to be President Trump himself, because he has been given the power by the people of US, and he's got to use it responsibly. That said, let's go on to S&P 500. This is a 5-minute time frame which I generally use for day trade, and we are going into the 1-day time frame where each candle is a 1-day candle. As you can see beautifully, today we rested at the support of 5314 during the trading hours, and we got resistance exactly as we expected out here at the minor line of resistance of 5531. So this is what I was talking about in the morning live stream, and I'm happy to report that it's worked out exactly the way we expected. Now what's going to happen for the next move? So the next move would depend on how we manage to defend the support at 5314.00. We are exactly at 5314.50 or something like that. We are fluctuating around that number right now in post-market trades, and if we fall below this, then this becomes a resistance for tomorrow, and our support is going to be 5118.50, and the next support is going to be 5009.00. So those are the two supports that I can see. And then we are also looking for signs that we are going to form higher highs and higher lows to indicate that a new bull channel is being created. So I'll be watching out for that as well. If you look at the MACD, it is bearish and the momentum is also below average. So I think the chances of going down is much higher than the chances of going up. Next, we are looking at NASDAQ futures. And in NASDAQ futures also, we more or less confined ourselves to the range that we spoke about. In fact, in the morning, we even had this diagonal line of resistance in the play, but it turned out that we never reached that high. We were pushed back by the resistance at 19243.00, and we got support at 19585.60. But at this point of time at close, we were already below that, so that line now becomes a resistance. Our next support is going to be out here at around 17,846. That's the next support, and the support of after that is going to be at 17,363.75. These are the two supports that I see, and if the action goes even further, then 17,172 is going to be the final support for tomorrow. So that's what I'm looking at for the futures. Dollar index has shown that dollar has gone down to as low as 101, and during the day it had gone down to almost 100.2. So that's the wick that you see out here. It is 100.746. That's as low as it has gone, and this is not great for US, especially with the 10% tariffs. Imports are going to become very expensive. That said, let us look at the 10-year yields. They have been inching up, and they have crossed this diagonal line of resistance and converted the diagonal line of resistance. Sorry, let me just delete this, and converted the diagonal line of resistance into a diagonal line of support. I'm going to make this a little bit thicker so that you can see. So what was the resistance before has now become a support, and we are moving on top of this. MACD is looking very healthy, and momentum is also looking great. This means future financing for US is going to be very expensive, and this needs to come down, but it seems to be in a upward trend at this point of time. Well, let's look at where we ended S&P 500. S&P 500 closed the previous day at 5460. And then for today, the action started below the support of 5394 from earlier, which had become a resistance for us. and which has become a resistance for us now, and our support at 5285.09 has also become a resistance for us because we have fallen below that during the day. However, our support of 5154.20 and 5117.13, both of them held very well and pushed the price back. And right now in the futures market, we are still moving downwards. And let us look at NASDAQ. So yesterday, NASDAQ covered a whole lot of ground and it jumped significantly. But this morning in the action, it has converted our support at 18,598.74 into a resistance. It also converted our next support of 18,512.58 into a resistance. And this support is coming from a gap up and a gap down that we had out here. So that's what we are looking at in this area. And that was important. It was breached. However, we managed to stay above this minor line of support at 17,844.39. This functioned very well. So for tomorrow, the way I look at it, we are going to have resistance at 18,532 and we are going to have support at 17,844.39 and support at 70,165.88. These are the two supports that I can see. That said, let us look at VIX. VIX managed to gain today and it converted a resistance at 40.03 into a support. And right now we are above that support. So that will be a support for us tomorrow. And I'm not going to plot the resistance at this point of time, but if I was pushed to talk about a resistance, I would say 60.46 will be a resistance for tomorrow. Put call ratio is almost neutral and gold has been gaining steam. Money has been moving into gold, and the fact that the treasury yields are higher indicates that instead of putting money in treasury, probably people are putting money into gold and probably German bonds and elsewhere. Now with that said, let's look at XLP. I just want to see whether XLP is coming back into play. So XLP has started picking up value. This reverse head and shoulders did not materialize, but we have a new bullish activity going on with XLP. We'll take it any day. Now with that said, let's go on to look at Genomics and all our stocks. Apologies for not making a video yesterday. And today we are seeing that Ginkgo Bioworks had a gain of 7.67%. Is there any good news out here? 6 hours ago, Ginkgo Bioworks partners awarded 29 million contract to stabilize pharmaceutical supply chains. So this is a very positive catalyst for Ginkgo Bioworks. 29 million is a good amount of money. Ginkgo is being rewarded, and we have MACD, which is bullish, momentum also above average. So this puts Ginkgo on a very good path to move upwards. And now I'm just going to draw this line across. This is a minor line of resistance. This is going to be a resistance tomorrow for Ginkgo at 7.78. Looking at Grail managed to stay below this line of resistance of 24.02, and for tomorrow 24.02 is a resistance, and this dynamic line of resistance out here from a previous bear channel is going to do the role of a support at 20.08 for tomorrow's market action for Grail. MACD is bearish and momentum is also below average, so the chances of going down tomorrow is much higher than the chances of going up. PACB was down 4.83% during the day's action. Post market we have no trades out here, and our support for tomorrow is going to be at 1.21, and our resistance for tomorrow is going to be, I'll put a minor line of resistance out here. I'm going to draw that out here like so. So this is going to be our minor line of resistance for tomorrow, and it happens to sit somewhere around 1.48, and IMTX was down 1.98% today. And it has been held back by this horizontal line of resistance at 4.16. It's a perfect doji candle, a lot of indecision out there. MACD is bearish, and also momentum is below average, and therefore I would think that IMTX has got more chances of going down than going up tomorrow. In the event it went up, I already mentioned the resistance to you. mRNA was down 8.14% this today during the trading day, and post market it's flat on the trading, and the resistance continues to be 29.84. And if I was to look for a support, I would say I would draw a minor line of support out here, because this has been supported for the last few days, and this sits at 24.06. ARCG was down, and it converted a line of support from yesterday at 19.64 into a line of resistance, and we still have support at 17.73. That's going to prevail for tomorrow. Iowa was down 6.42%, and it's below this diagonal line of resistance from a previous bear channel, and that line of resistance is going to be at around 3.07 for tomorrow. It's a dynamic line of resistance. Next, let's look at Beam. Beam has managed to convert a line of support at 15.00 into a line of resistance with today's price action, where it has dropped below that level, and that's going to perform the role of a resistance for tomorrow for Beam. MACD is also bearish, and momentum is below average, and we are almost oversold, so there could be a little bit of bounce, and that will be checked by the resistance at 15. Vertex was down 1.41% during the day's trade, and post-market it's up 0.42%. This diagonal line of resistance continues to play the role of resistance, and tomorrow it's going to be at 495.08. Allogene was down 3.52% during the day, and it managed to stay below the diagonal line of resistance out here, which for it today was 1.42, and it has stayed above the line of support of 1.35. For tomorrow, the support continues to be 1.35, and the resistance is going to be 1.41. MACD is trying to mend itself, so to that extent there is a little bit of positiveness in Allogene. CRISPR Therapeutics was down 1.81% during the trading action, and this diagonal line of resistance from earlier has now become a diagonal line of support. Yesterday's action converted that into a support, and it remained a support today as well. So going forward, tomorrow our support is going to be 33.87. This is a dynamic line of support, so tomorrow the support will be much lower. It's at 33.87, and the resistance is going to be out here. I'm going to make this line a bit thicker, and the resistance is going to be at 38.64. Illumina was down 6.84%, so it converted a line of support from yesterday at 74.22 into a line of resistance, and 74.22 is going to be the line of resistance for tomorrow for Illumina. And if you look at Intelia was down 4.38% during the trading day, and diagonal line of resistance at 7.63 is going to be the resistance for tomorrow. Caribou Biosciences was down 4.02%. It manages to stay above this diagonal line of support, which became a support when we had this massive jump yesterday. So that continues to be a support for us, and the resistance is going to be out here. This is a dynamic line of resistance, so resistance will be at 0.99 for tomorrow. Editas was down 3.48% in the day's trading action, and our resistance of 1.17, which held strong yesterday despite such a huge spike across the board, has remained the resistance for today, and it will continue to remain the resistance for tomorrow. Altimmune was down 1.65% in the day's trade, and it continues to be below the resistance from yesterday. In fact, if you plot a horizontal line out here, you can see a clear line of resistance which has been in play for quite a while. It was supporting this candle on the 4th of April, and after that it has been the resistance for the last 4 days. So this is a strong resistance, but it has been tapped at least a couple of times. So tomorrow, given that MACD is mending and momentum is picking up, I'm thinking that tomorrow Altimmune has a chance for breaking out above this. We'll check and see what happens when we do our end of day session tomorrow. Prime was down 6.40% during the day's action, and it continues to have a resistance at 1.73. Verve was down 10.56% during the day's action. However, it remained above the diagonal line of support, which was 2.91 today. But for tomorrow, it's going to be 2.88. That's going to be the support for tomorrow. And the resistance, I would say I would have a new resistance out here, which is going to be this line out here at 3.54. So that's going to be our next resistance for tomorrow. So friends, that kind of brings me to an end of today's analysis for Genomic stocks. Genomic stocks took advantage of the one-day spike which happened, which was an unnatural spike, and it's likely to give up its gains as long as the genomic stock is not one that has got revenue or has got some kind of approved therapeutics. So I would say that Vertex, CRISPR Therapeutics and Illumina kind of fall in that category. So they would continue to do slightly better than the rest of the stocks. So with that, my friends, I'd like to bring this video to an end. Thanks and have a great day. Bye for now.